Meantime, let's talk more, should we, about the government's latest plans for the environment. The Energy Secretary Grant Shapps is joining us now. Hello to you, Mr Shapps. Thanks for joining us. I mean, there's a lot to unpick in what you are proposing today, but one of the things that will impact most on my viewers is what you're trying to do about gas. 4 in 5 homes are presently heated by gas in the UK. How are you going to get them to switch to cleaner electricity and other forms of energy?
Well, that'll be a process over a period of time. No one's being forced to remove their gas from their home. But we do know that in the longer run, things like mixing hydrogen into the gas network, that doesn't involve people doing anything at home. You can do up to about 20% of that as part of the solution. And increasingly, use of things like heat pumps, most importantly, things like insulation of homes as well. So there's a lot of different ways in which homes will move towards using energy sources which are more reliable and greener.
Over what period of time?
Over the next decade or two. So, for example, we all know that electricity can be a big way to decarbonise, but we also know these are big changes. So, as I say, this is not a sort of rip out your boiler moment. This is a transition over a period of time to get to homes which are heated in a different way and also insulated much better. And we've made massive progress on that. We've gone from just 14%, 1/4 of homes being properly insulated back in 2010 to nearly half of homes today, 47%. So we're making rapid progress on that, and we intend to continue that. And part of the money I'm announcing today is to do exactly that.
OK. How many heat pumps have been installed so far?
We're in the low numbers still, hundreds of thousands, not the millions.
42,000, wasn't it?
Well, I think that this is the difference in number per year and the overall number that we installed. But
only 42,000 last year, though, wasn't it?
In a year, that's right.
Yeah, not very many, is it?
No, and it's a programme which is nascent. It's at the beginning. There are technical issues that people are having to deal with in order to make the switch over. But we're extending an incentive scheme today, which is £5,000 when you install a heat pump. And what that does is helps to bring the price down close to or even lower than installing a regular conventional gas boiler. Now, recently we've seen a couple of energy companies, Octopus and British Gas, offer boilers which, heat pumps, which match the price of boilers, £2,500 to £3,000. So we're starting to see that come into line, and we hope to see a lot more installed as a result of that. But it will take time, that's true.
And you acknowledge that some people's bills can be significantly higher when they get these heat pumps installed.
That's not quite as straightforward as it sounds, because one of the things that we do need to do is make sure that we insulate homes as well. So today, we're launching a Great British Insulation Programme to make sure that we're ensuring that homes are ready for heat pumps, and either way help to lower people's bills. So these things do have to work in combination. That's absolutely true.
Labour are not buying it at all. They're saying it's just reheated policies and you're only doing it today because you're being forced to because of the deadline by the High Court, which runs out tomorrow.
Legislated to get to net zero by 2050. It was passed under a Conservative government. We're the first country in the world to do it. We've made more progress on this than any other industrialised nation. So I just, they would say that, wouldn't they, sort of thing. But actually today is 1,000 pages of over 70 different policies in a lot of detail, both existing and quite mundane-sounding things like, you may say, insulation, but also very advanced things as well, like carbon capture, utilisation and storage. This country has a massive opportunity to capture carbon and bury it under the sea in the oil and gas locations.
Still early stages with that, though, isn't it?
That's
Secretary
right.
of State. Talk to me about the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres. He recently urged all countries to bring forward their net zero targets by a decade. Why are we not doing that?
Yes, sorry, just on the early stages, you're right, but this is a £20 billion investment today. This is not a small amount of money. We know that this does work, and it could be a massive export for Britain, as big as oil and gas it was itself. So I think it's really important. And look, in terms of bringing forward and so on and so forth, as I said, there's no other country that's legislated for it. I'm personally accountable, and it means that I have to make sure that we deliver on our agreements, and we're doing it faster. We're doing the decarbonisation faster than anywhere else. But I want to do it in a way that brings jobs to this country. I want to make sure that people have the power and the energy they need, both in the short term and in the much longer term. This morning I'm at the UK fusion facility here in Oxfordshire, at Culham, where one day we could be producing endless amounts of energy very cheaply. So we've got short-term bets and long-term bets, and in doing so, we're also cleaning up our act as well.
OK. What net zero changes are you making in your own home?
Well, over the years, I've done different things. For example, fitting solar panels 12 years ago. I've driven an EV, second EV, electric vehicle. And we've done just simple things like turning down the boiler flow, which is one of the things that we were recommending over Christmas. We put in double glazing and all of those types of things. So, we're trying to do the practical things. I've got somebody coming to survey the house to see whether a heat pump would work in my house as well. You rightly point out that there are issues that mean that it can't just be universally fitted. So, gradually doing things. I'm not sort of some eco warrior in this. I just want to try and save money on my energy bills like everybody else.
Last year, a private jet took off in the UK on average every 6 minutes, which produces between 5 and 14 times more carbon dioxide than commercial airlines. Are you going to penalise them?
Also, what I believe on all of this stuff is that we need to find ways to not stop ourselves from continuing to develop as human beings, but instead find ways to be able to operate and do so without harming, the world, our environment. And actually, sustainable aviation fuel is the way to do that. I chair something called the Jet Zero Council, and the whole point of what we're trying to do is get to what I call, guilt-free flying. We want to be able to have a world in which people can fly and don't need to feel like it's damaging the world. Now, that's possible even with the technology that we have today with sustainable aviation fuel. What we want to do is take that even further. Hydrogen in planes. And we've got aircraft in this country flying now as test aircraft with hydrogen, which doesn't emit anything. So there are ways to get this job done, and that's what I'm focused on, rather than telling people that they can't.
You talk about guilt-free flying. I mean, you're a private pilot. Do you feel guilty when you're flying private jets?
Well, I don't fly private jets, but I am a pilot, as you rightly say, and I do fly. And just as when people jump in their car, that you're looking for that transition. And that's exactly what's happening in the aviation sector. One of the reasons I'm so keen to drive that forward or pilot that whole Jet Zero plan is to remove the carbon aspect, and that's done through technology. I don't believe, as human beings, the answer to all of this is to sort of withdraw from the world, disappear, go back to caves or something like that. We've got to both develop our economies and find ways to make the planet safer. And no country has done more than Britain to do that. We've lowered our carbon faster than anybody else.
OK, we're almost out of time, Secretary of State. We're almost out of time, and I wondered if I could just ask you quickly about a story that is in the Times this morning. My colleagues at the Times getting a lot of grief from Ofgem, who are threatening to slam them with unlimited fines if they don't hand over all of the evidence of British gas agents breaking into customers' homes. What would you say?
I'm pleased you've asked me about it. Look, the journalists in this country do an incredible job of exposing problems, holding people like me and others to account. I would always be on the side of freedom of our press. Ofgem, who are a regulator, need to fix the problems that were uncovered and not be threatening to pursue journalists who've uncovered these things. Some would say that the regulator should have been finding itself, shouldn't be pursuing the journalists. I can be as clear as you like on this. It is wrong for them to be pursuing the journalists. I would be very disappointed to see them progress that through the courts. The journalists are merely doing the job of uncovering something which absolutely should not be going on. And I have cracked down very hard on that particular scandal, which is to do with prepayment meters. I expect the regulator to do the same job.
OK. My top tip for your team this morning, Mr Shapps, is it's incredibly echoey where you are and very difficult to hear what you're saying at times. They might want to move you before you start doing other interviews. But thank you very much indeed for taking the time to join us this morning.
Thank you for it.